At 18 years old, I was sentenced to serve 32 years in prison. And I've talked about it before, but I continue to get questions, so I want to give more detailed explanation. And the first thing that I'm going to say is I was absolutely guilty. I absolutely deserved to be arrested and deserved to be incarcerated. I pleaded guilty and was sentenced for two separate and unrelated events, for a robbery and for a shooting. We committed the robbery when we had run out of money, we had burned all the bridges, and didn't know how we were going to get more cocaine. One of my co-defendants had worked at this restaurant and told us his story about how they were terrible people and only hired undocumented immigrants and then didn't pay them nearly enough and took all the cash and kept it at their homes, so if we broke in and found that money, it wouldn't really be stealing. Obviously, this is a lie and a justification, but at that time, we were willing to do anything we had to do to get more cocaine. The plan was just to break into the house and find the money, but when my co-defendant went to the front door, there was somebody home. So what started off as a breaking and entering turned into a robbery. Our actions terrified and traumatized the person who was there, and undoubtedly traumatized the people who had to come home to find their house rifled through. We didn't find anything of value in the house, but a few days later we found someone else to front us cocaine, so we were sitting around numbing our pain and drinking away our feelings. One of my buddies got a panic phone call that two guys were at his house with his pregnant girlfriend and weren't leave. They were making threats and saying he needed to bring them the gun, money, or cocaine. And the gun in question was a gun they had stolen and sold to him, which he had sold to me. And at that point, I was a villain in so many people's story that I wanted to be the hero in someone else's, so I got on the phone and I told them they were going to leave or else, and we shouted at each other and we threatened each other. We agreed to meet, and all the way up there, I was trying to build myself up and do bumps of cocaine and feel courageous, but I was terrified. When I finally got there was this voice in the back of my head that told me this is a terrible idea and I need to leave, that someone is going to get hurt or that someone is going to die. So after seeing them in the parking lot, I left, and they chased me. As I was driving down the road, they pulled into the passing lane and were swerving like they were going to run me off the road and gesturing when the passenger reached around behind him to grab something. In my mind, I thought he was grabbing a gun. And in that moment, I was terrified and I was angry, and I pulled out the gun that they had stolen and I shot them both. And it's only a miracle that even though I hit them both, they both survived. And one of the terrible things for me to this day is not knowing, because there was a gun in the car, but I don't know if that's what he was reaching for. So to this day, I carry the fact that I nearly took two people's lives, and I put them and their family and their friends through an absolute hell. And all of it was avoidable. All I had to do was not go, not put myself in that situation. And there were so many points at which I could have made a different decision and put myself in a different place, but I kept making the worst decision possible at every turn. And after pleading guilty to the robbery and to the shooting, that was why I was sentenced to serve 32 years in prison.